When Paul Thomas Anderson was 7 years old, he is said to have written in a notebook, "My name is Paul Anderson. I want to be a writer, producer, director, special effects man. I know how to do everything, and I know everything. Please hire me." His words have proven prophetic. By the time he was 17 years old, he made a film short that a decade later became Boogie Nights. That 1997 film earned 3 Oscar nominations and catapulted him to fame. Today, he is credited with being at the forefront of a new generation of young auteur filmmakers breaking from Hollywood convention. His current film, Magnolia, continues in that tradition, and here is a trailer from the film.
And that is a very tricky thing on my part, making that call. But you can forgive someone? Well, that's the tough part. What can we forgive?
Magnolia has been named one of the top 10 films of 1999 by both Rolling Stone magazine and the Wall Street Journal. I am pleased to have the director back on this broadcast. Welcome back.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations. This
Thank you
is
very
getting a lot of attention.
It's working.
What's this movie about?
None of us could figure it out, you know, and it wasn't like someone could figure it out and someone else didn't agree with it. It was really just well, it's too hard to describe, so let's just say here's who's in it, these are the characters, and, you know, I mean, I could probably go on forever about what it's about, but, you know, you'd hate me in the morning.
All right, well, that's true. But let me just bring several things to the table. First of all, you said you have said in this movie everything you wanted to say about this sort of particular subject.
Yeah.
The movie's called Magnolia. Magnolia is the name of a boulevard in San Fernando Valley. Right?
Yeah.
Why the title Magnolia?
Well, there's
other
that.
than the fact that it's a boulevard in San Fernando Valley.
There's that, and on top of that, you know what happens? I had the title first, you know, and you start to sort of go, why is Magnolia sticking in my head? Why do these letters look so nice to me? And it is a boulevard, but I started to research a couple different things, and something that came up was the Magnolia, which is this mythical place above the firmament where stuff goes and hangs out, apparently. You know, so a ship is lost at sea, you know, and then an anchor falls down at some farmer's barn in Iowa, you know. Apparently the ship has been up in the Magnolia for a while, hanging out, and then it dropped its anchor sort of 20 years later. So that sort of weird sort of, you know, link, maybe, so I said, well, okay, this is starting to make sense.
What's this movie about?
You know what it's about? All right, you got me. I'll tell you what it's about. Here's what it's about. It's about parent-children relationships, you know, and how that informs who you are, who we are. It's about how you grow up and how that affects who you are.
Okay, now let me
Did I do a good job?
Well, you're getting there, but not quite. I mean, what's interesting about this is A, your skill, B, and B, you did say, you said you poured everything you wanted to say about this particular subject matter into this film.
Yeah.
What we have in this film, 8 stories, 9 characters, 2 dying men.
Yeah.
People who are affected by that death.
Yeah.
A nurse, a trophy wife. We have a sex guru, brilliantly played by Tom Cruise. We have a policeman. We have a cocaine addict. We have all these characters.
They're all there.
And their stories kind of connect.
Yeah.
Someone said this is about American angst.
Yeah. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what happened? I just I'd said this before, but I did. I set out to write something really small and cheap after Boogie Nights. I wanted to just make a movie.
Small and cheap?
Yeah. I just figured the best thing to do here with all this sort of Boogie Nights stuff that was happening and sort of attention paid to me, it was really nice, but I thought I should do my job, you know, and my job is to just make movies. So I sat down and I started to write. And there was so much happening in my life at the time, and I was just going through so much. Sort of personal things, you know, that I just kept writing. I kept writing what was going on around me, whether it was me or people that I knew. You know, I sort of just ended up sort of vomiting out onto the page all the stuff that was around me. So that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about. It's about me.
What part of this movie is about you?
All of it, and that's not being really all of it. I mean, you know. We all have families that we, you know, have to figure out and deal with and try and explore what went wrong or what's going on.
Is that what interests you the most, a sort of sense of the angst or the dysfunctionality of a life?
Sure, yeah, yeah.
Because that's where the interesting stuff is.
It's you know, I think that you know, families are just endless, juicy ammunition for great stories. You know, they're never going to let you down for good drama or good comedy.
Yeah. But here's what else they say about you, is that they say in talking about you that you love your characters, and it's all on the screen. You know,
Yeah.
You're not too critical of these people. You just show who they are.
Yeah.
And that this is a director who loves these characters, or a writer who loves these characters, right?
Yeah, and I think it's true. I think, well, but I think it comes from the fact that when I write movies, I write them for very specific actors, and these actors are my friends: John Riley, Philip Baker
All right,
Hall.
well, stop. Let's talk about that, because that's really interesting. John Riley plays the cop. All right, he was in Boogie Nights.
Yeah,
It's almost an ensemble.
yeah.
But think about who you've got. I mean, you've got some of the hottest actors in the world in this movie. Start with Tom Cruise.
Okay.
How'd you get him?
He called me after he'd seen Boogie Nights, and that's the phone call from the President of the United States of movie land, you know? And because I wouldn't...
It doesn't get any bigger than that.
No, literally, it doesn't. You know, and what happened was, it was great, because I wouldn't have called him. I was a huge fan of his work, but it's that ungettable thing, you know, you just don't think, I'll never get Tom Cruise in my movie, so you just kind of think, well, maybe I should try and get somebody else. But he called me, he was a big fan of Boogie Nights, and so I was going to London to promote it, and I met him on the set of Eyes Wide Shut, and I sort of visited with him, and I got to meet Stanley Kubrick. It was sort of a wonderful thing. And so Tom and I just sort of chatted, and I was just starting to think of this character that he plays in the movie, and there's just something, just brought up the naughty side in me. I don't know what it was. I just sort of looked at him and I said, oh, I know exactly what to do here, you know? And so I wrote Frank T.J. Mackey the part for Tom. And sent it to him 8 or 9 months later. You know, I said, let me go away. I'm going to write. I'll send you. I didn't tell him anything about it, but I said, let me go write this thing, and I'll send it to you. And so, you know, many months later, when he was finally finishing up Eyes Wide Shut.
Many years later.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I met him, and he'd been there for a year and a half already. So 8 or 9 months later, I sent it to him. And it was one of those dream stories where, you know, you send it to him, and the day later, next day he calls and says, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm yours. Let's make it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but we spent 3 or 4 weeks really talking about, you know, sort of sniffing each other out, you know. I think he, you know, sort of, how do you like to work? How do you like to work? Okay, great, you know.
This is a long way from Mission Impossible.
Yes and no. I mean,
what's yes and what's no?
What's yes is the type of character, but no in that good acting is hard no matter what you're doing, and it's hard to make a movie, and it's hard to act, so it's all challenging.
And it's really hard to make a good movie that you want to make and an audience wants to see.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can make a good movie you like and want to make, an audience doesn't want to see it. Sometimes you can make a movie that an audience wants to see.
I've been there. I've been there a couple times. I'll probably be there again.
So he says yes.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
You had him before.
Yeah.
He's part of the ensemble.
Yeah, because I
can't be
him.
hotter than he is right now. Flawless. Ripley,
right?
Ripley,
and,
and
he's also in. He's in something else.
Yeah. So there's a guy who's coming.
So great, isn't it? It's an amazing thing to. I was such a fan of his since I saw Scent of a Woman, which is so long ago, and I sought him out, and he was in my very first movie, and then he was in Boogie Nights, and it's just amazing to watch someone who you were rooting for get to the point where you can now go to a studio and say, Philip Seymour Hoffman is in my movie, and they know. You don't have to say the guy from, you know, the sidekick friend from. They know his name, and it's so great to me. And he's an actor who deserves it too, who's worked his ass off for a long time, been around for a long time, working really hard. He's just the sweetest.
And the
guy.
talent is just, you just see it. It just comes out of every scene.
For real, every act. That was a great thing about Tom too, is that Tom was interested, in being in the movie and working with me, and that's very. But he knew Phil Hoffman was going to be in his scenes, you know, and that was that was a draw for Tom Cruise. I'm going to get to act with Phil Hoffman, believe it or not. I mean, that's how sort of respected
Says
Phil
something
Hoffman
about Cruise good. Says something good about Cruise.
Tom Cruise is the man. He really is. He's a pretty amazing individual.
Speaking of people who are hot, Julianne Moore.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you get her? She's got 3 movies out.
She's got 3 movies out. We had made Boogie Nights together, and I sought her out, you know, through a friend of a friend. I would have tracked her down no matter what, through an agent or some sort of official way, but I got
Just
got
say,
to
let's
her
regroup, let's get the ensemble back together, plus we're going to add
Oh, in terms of Magnolia, no. In terms of Magnolia, getting Julianne, it was from the get-go. I called Julianne, said, I'm starting to write. You're in it, so clear your schedule vaguely about a year from now. And that's what.
And she said yes, just like that, because of the respect she had for you and for Boogie.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, there's some sort of really great strokes here. Bill Macy is great playing the part he does. Jason Robards is great playing the part he is. But here's a fascinating stroke: is Henry Gibson. Who's seen Henry Gibson for a while?
Yeah, I know. But I sat down to write this part for Henry Gibson, thinking, you know, I need to see Henry Gibson more, and you know, I haven't seen him enough lately. He's so great, you know, Nashville.
So you wrote that part with him in mind.
Mm-hmm. And then I got really nervous that maybe I haven't seen him around in a while because you know, he doesn't want to work. Have I gone through all this and writing this part? I should have probably called him beforehand and said, "Can I write a part for you?" But I was prosperous enough to.
Here is a scene. The first scene is when John Riley, who plays Officer Jim, what's the character's name?
Jim Curring.
Jim Curring, Kurring. He's out on his first date with Claudia, who is the cokehead. Take a look at this.
On and on, you should just say it, whatever it is, and I'll listen to you.
You don't know how stupid I am.
It's okay.
You don't know how crazy I am.
It's okay.
I've got troubles, okay?
I'll take everything at face value. I'll be a good listener to you.
I started this, didn't I?
Whatever it is, just say it. You'll see.
You want to kiss me, Jim?
Yes, I do.
This movie is 3+ hours.
Yeah.
Any qualms about that?
From
the studio.
No, well, no, they were very, very nice about it, actually, because they knew by the script. The script was very, very thick. It was 190.
But no one said to you, "Come on." You know, movies today have to be 2 hours, not 3.
No, because they were really wonderful, and I was really upfront, you know, saying it's going to be 3 hours, and you know, they were wonderful in saying, okay, we're not going to tell you what to do. We'd love it if this was shorter, you know, but so just make it as short as you can, as short as you want. Be comfortable with it, but know that, you know, it would be nice. But they were wonderful.
But they said, "We trust you. You're our guy."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
This is the word you see constantly in people writing about the film, Altman-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Do you buy that? Are you influenced by what you saw Robert Altman do?
Yes, but it's funny because I really was thinking a lot about Nashville when I wrote Boogie Nights. You know, I was sort of going, blatantly either ripping it off or totally being influenced or whatever. But I think what happens is it's in my DNA, you know. It's that I grew up watching those movies and seeing those movies. So, you know, it's just informed me and informed how I want to tell stories. So I've learned from that, and hopefully I can bring something new to the table.
All right, take a look. But I think what it is, obviously, is it a style of movie making you like to tell a lot of stories at one time?
Yeah.
And somewhere find out that the characters have some connection, or they are, in fact, in the way you create the mosaic.
Right.
They have a body, they have a connection that you don't necessarily pick up.
Right.
At the
Well,
beginning.
I like it unique to this movie, and that's what I set out to do with this movie. A very specific thing. It's not as if I'm such a massively dedicated to ensemble movies. It truly was the idea with this movie to have all of these different lives and try and see how they could either connect. Sitting down to write, knowing exactly how they'll connect, or sometimes discovering it myself. And the Altman-esque thing, there was somebody that said, you know, this is like Altman on amphetamines. So I appreciated that. So he'll smoke pot and I'll take amphetamine. You know?
All right. Roll tape. This is Julianne Moore and, as we said, Phil Hoffman, in which she tells him, who is the nurse, remember this, that she is leaving Earl.
Yeah, I'm going to turn away and walk away and not look at him and not see my man, my Earl, and tell him it's okay. I'm okay. Tell him thank you for taking care.
You have this reputation, and it's flattering to you, of getting great performances out of actors.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things they say you do well.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about?
I think it's about the relationship that I have to the actor, you know, because most of us are friends, and there's just this accident that's happened or whatever it is. I don't know, that they trust me, you know, and I trust them. So, and what that means is we don't second guess what we're doing. It just becomes what you do. It's funny because someone was saying, you know, how do you get these performances? And I think that my first job is to be a really good writer to the actors. You know, to not describe it in the script. So many times you see so much description of what the character's supposed to be feeling and stuff in screenplays, and it's just a big mistake. It has to be done through dialogue and what they do. What are they going to do? Are they going to walk across the street? You know, then that's a character trait, you know, they're making that decision. And so the scripts that I write for them are very clean. They're sort of very clean of a lot of sort of flowery explanation of what they're supposed to be feeling. I think the actors really appreciate that. It lets them do their job. It enables them to just act, you know what I mean? And what happens is that I think because we've spent so much time sort of being drunk in front of each other and at parties and at family gatherings and these sorts of things, that everything, that a camera isn't exactly rolling a lot of the times, or it doesn't matter that the camera's there. I don't know if I've explained that exactly.
But you were saying that you create an atmosphere of openness and vulnerability and friendship, all of that.
Yeah.
That makes what happens on camera easy.
Well, I hope so. I hope so, because I think that I'm so in awe of what they do, and acting is such a hard job. I mean, it's really, really hard, and I'm a really big fan. First and foremost, I'm just a fan who's kind of excited to watch them be great, you know, and I think that they're just, that they appreciate that from me. And so, so it just ends up being really nice.
You think you can make a case that the best directors feel the way you do? I've heard Robert Altman say the same thing. Mm-hmm. In awe of actors. Because there's some directors, I suspect, who treat actors and believe actors are children. Period.
Yeah, that is true. And I hear stories like that, and it always scares me, or it makes me feel bad, generally for these actors that I know who are my friends. Yeah, but you know, there's a little bit of voodoo magic in acting that I really don't understand, and I think every you know, director is just a frustrated actor. Anyway.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I know I am, you know, and I would never admit
If you could
that.
be, you'd like to be up on the screen.
Well, no, because I could be. Of
course you can, because you make your own movie.
Right. I could certainly be there, but
Oliver Stone put himself in.
Oh yeah, is he good?
Any Given Sunday. Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah. No, I think that I'd just rather leave it to them, because, like I said, there's that sort of voodoo magic thing that they do that I don't. That's precious, and when they do it well, boy, is it exciting to watch. It's so exciting to watch.
And do you know what it is, that voodoo magic, or you know you've just got it stimulated?
No, I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know. You know, I just know it when I see it, and I know that if I'm a good fan and it's a great atmosphere, and it's and the only direction I should really ever give to an actor is keep it simple, or you know, that's good direction.
Don't go over the top.
Don't go over the top. Just because it's very easy to get carried away with a performance. You know what I mean? Whether you're crying, you can start to cry too much. It's just very easy to follow through on the emotion. You know, Tom's stuff. All of Tom's stuff is very sort of big in the first half of the movie. It's sort of grandstanding, right. And that character's so easy to get carried away with. You know, and every once in a while, you just have to say it's okay. Just bring it down just a little bit. You know, that's the job.
This is a 3-hour movie, so we want to show a lot of clips. This is a story, an interesting story about a game show, and you see this kid who is coming to the reality that this is more his father than it is him. The kid is played by Jeremy Blackman, another great casting stroke. And what you have is Bill Macy, who was a former contestant. And in this scene, you see Stanley entering the game show and being shown around by Cynthia, who is Felicity
Huffman.
Who's
Bill Macy's
real-life wife. Roll tape, here it is.
Well, I was wondering about the weather department. I was wondering whether or not the weather people have outside meteorological services or if they have in-house instruments.
I can check on that for you. Maybe later we could take a tour.
Okay.
Sounds good? You asking about that because it's raining outside?
I guess.
Let me talk about music in this film. Amy
Sure.
Mann.
Yes. I could go on forever. She's really just at the start of the movie. I think what had happened was that I had a million ideas floating around in my head, and she's a really close friend of mine, and just a great songwriter. And she had stuff lying around that was B-sides or new stuff that she was working on, and it was something for me to latch on to, you know, as a way for me to go, okay, somehow that makes sense to me, all these ideas buzzing around, and here was something to hold on to, Amy's songs. And I sort of set out at first to adapt her songs, thinking that I would adapt like you would adapt a book. You know, I would just adapt these songs, and to a certain extent, it could be called that. But it was really this line, this first line of her song, "Deathly," and it goes, "Now that I've met you, would you object to never seeing me again?" And that was the start of it all. Just thinking, that's good. I'm going to steal that, and I'm going to write a movie.
What are you saying about pop culture in this movie? You know, it's about television. There's a little bit of network in it. I mean, you know, you got a television mogul played by Jason Robards who's dying. You know, there's his trophy wife. And
yeah, I don't know. I don't
mean message, but just what is it that's inside of you that comes out here that is shown through relationships, but says something about and Cruise's character for sure.
Well, you know what's inside me is someone who's 29 years old who's grown up on movies and television. Do you know what I mean? So that's there on display is a sort of, I think, a sort of channel changing mentality. Maybe that's why there's so many different stories. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of trying to, kind of in a way, reflect sort of TV sort of information overload in a movie. You know. That's one thing that's at work.
If you looked at this movie at this moment, the one that is in the theaters today, it's the movie you wanted to make.
Exactly.
Is it the movie you set out to make?
Exactly. Yeah.
You did not at any point say, damn it, I've got these great episodes and these great movies and these great performances, and it's all great, but I don't know what to do with it. Where do I go for the last 30 minutes?
Yeah. No.
I mean, how do I have a climax here that brings it all together?
What are you? No, you know, the funny thing is what you're hinting towards is actually one of the first things that came into my brain.
How it comes together at the end?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not telling. You're not telling.
Yeah, I know. I'm not telling. So we're going to dance and never use the word.
But that's the first thing that came in your mind.
Well, it's one of the first things. Was that as a concept, that big sort of biblical or whatever it is, hint, hint. I don't know. So it's not an afterthought. In other words, it's not an afterthought. What I thought I would do is write and write and write and write and write. And when it came time where I was written out, that's when what you're referring to would happen.
All right. Roll tape. This is a scene in which Phil is ordering groceries over the phone. Again, this brilliant actor, Phil Hoffman. Roll tape.
Hustler?
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yeah, I said. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Do you still want the peanut butter bread and cigarettes?
Yeah? What?
The total is $31.90. 30 minutes or less.
Again, great performances. Cruise. There's a brilliant scene here where with all of his self-help guru confidence, he's unraveled by an interviewer.
Played by April Grace.
Right.
It was great. Yeah, that was fun stuff to write and really fun stuff to watch them act. And that's really just...
So what's happening there?
Well, she's come in and she's going to sort of dismantle him. She's a woman, so obviously she's got something there on him because all of his courses are about how to seduce women,
right.
how to destroy women.
Right.
And so she's come in with that an agenda to destroy him, but sort of destroy him in a very, very, very personal way to catch him in a few lies that he's told. And it's rough. I think what's great about her performance and sort of what's sort of wonderful in those scenes is that she should nail him. You know, she should nail him. I mean, he's a liar and he's a bad guy for what he's doing, but the way that she does it is really delicate and it really appeals to his heart and smart. And you can see that she actually feels a little bit bad about having taken him down. There's a wonderful moment where she's such a great actress, April Grace. You just see this delicate moment where she says, boy, I needed to do this, and he deserves it, but I actually feel terrible. Because she reveals a pretty desperate and sort of terrible secret about him.
Roll tape, one last film. This shows Jason Robards when he tells Phil, who's a nurse, about his first love.
I feel like a doll. Yeah. a beautiful porcelain doll. And the hips, the childbearing hips, you know that?
What does this take out of you, making a movie like this?
A lot of weight. Yeah. Physically, it takes so much out of you, and emotionally or in your head, it becomes. I think you start to forget a lot of stuff around you, unfortunately, or I have at least for the past year, sort of neglecting my life and friends or family, and just been so tunnel vision towards finishing.
You live it 18 hours, 20 hours a day.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a hard thing because you come home and you wanna be able to have dinner and talk with your girlfriend, but you just fall asleep, or it's so debilitating. And I don't want to complain because this is a great job to have, but you start to, now that it's over, I'm starting to look back at some of the pieces that I've dropped along the way of my life, and trying to figure out maybe a new way to try and do it, to be as dedicated and committed, but also to have a life,
It's been part of your life for how long? Since
about 2 years.
2 years, from writing the script.
Yeah.
Do you want to direct anything that you don't write?
Not right now. I don't think so. I don't think so. Writing is too much fun. It's too wonderful and it's too solitary, and I enjoy that time so much that I need it, because when you go to make the movie, that's a group experience, and so you need the alone time. And so when I write, it's wonderful.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.